I know I'm a little bit, not a little bit, I'm pretty late. I'm 17 minutes late the time I said I was going to live stream, but yeah. Let me just post that tweet up real quick. Firing that off. Yeah. Yeah, brother. I'm pretty much set up here. Okay. All right, we're live there. All right, all right. All right. My ladies and gentle folks, how are you all doing this lovely morning? I am actually very, very up, very, very early. Um, for those who are curious, and didn't catch my super late last night live stream, just for a brief moment with my friend, playing Mech Warrior 5. Got a lot of things to do today, so trying to get everything done earlier on. Just gonna give this another not even quite a minute. I'm gonna give it like 30 seconds. I think. I don't know. I have a fun little thing I want to do here. Um, I don't know how I'm gonna really pull it off in one go, but I'm gonna attempt it in one go. I have been practicing this. Since I am on the timetable here, let's go ahead and begin. As you can see, I'm preparing for something. Welcome to another nerdy review. I'm the Absolute Nerd, and today we'll be reviewing Mobile Fighter G Gundam. Now, if you haven't already and you're watching this on Twitch, follow me on my Twitch account. If you're watching this on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and make sure to leave a comment down below. Let me rehash that one. I apologize. Dang it. No, I'm gonna have this in. I couldn't do this in one go. Gotta get amped, gotta get pumped. It's hard. I'm so not awake. And I showered and all that. I'm trying to wake myself up here. Welcome to another nerdy review. I'm the Absolute Nerd, and today I'll be reviewing Mobile Fighter G Gundam. Now, if you haven't already and you're watching this on Twitch, follow me on my Twitch channel. If you are watching this on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment down below. That said, Gundam fight all set, ready, go! Oh, that was hilarious. I'm sorry. I just had to have fun with this one here, guys. So this is just, a little cheesiness here because G Gundam is pretty cheesy itself. It's a cheesy goodness. So yeah, don't expect too much of this though, but I can't guarantee I won't stop. If the cringe factor wasn't already there, it is now. I hope you cringe, you lose. But yes, it is serious. I will be reviewing the G Gundam series today. Let's get things started off with the actual story of the series here. This series does take place in a alternate universe. It takes place in Future Century 60, where Gundam fight tournaments are set to determine the ruler of the world for the next 4 years. We follow Neo Japan's fighter Domon Kashu and his engineering companion Rei Nikimura as they compete in the 13th Gundam fight while searching for Domon's brother and the elusive Devil Gundam. Or Dark Gundam if you're going to go with the English translation. Unfortunately, folks, I will be going with the English translation, so this is how I grew up with the series and how I actually rewatched it too. So, yes, I'll be doing English translations. I will be covering the difference of the names. With that story being said, there isn't a whole lot of change in this story. It's pretty much exactly what it sounds like right there. Changes a little bit because of the tournament aspects, but that's basically it. Now, if you couldn't already tell, G Gundam's a pretty controversial series here. Controversial, but a beloved spin to the Gundam franchise. Let me put it this way. Like I already mentioned to you, this is the very first series that was an alternate universe set in Future Century, not in the Universal Century that we've been watching in the Gundam series thus far. In our actual real-life timeline, this is the first alternate universe, although we did have some kind of differences with Regaled Century and Correct Century with the Gundam Recon G and Turn A Gundam, just to give you respective sites to that. But G Gundam is really the one that starts it all off with a whole new take on the Gundam centuries. This was Bandai's attempt, or Bandai Sunrise's attempt, to revitalize the Gundam franchise after it kind of got a little bit stale after Victory Gundam, with plummeting sales and so forth. So they wanted to sell, of course, more toys, more models. So they wanted to take a different approach with Gundam. So in that case here, they did get, let me pull up some information here. I do apologize. I did not pull this information beforehand. This is, oh, give me a second here. Do apologize for that, folks. Yeah, it was just, I was smelling burning. I am boiling water for the wife to help her with her day today to make things go faster for today. I am just trying to pull up some information real fast. Excuse me. It was a I could have swear I pulled up this information beforehand. I think I was just trying to get everything set up for the whole funniness of what I was trying to do today. Today, that I didn't really get this information going here. I apologize for that. Sorry, not sorry. Okay, so, and like I was saying before here, Mobile Fighter G Gundam was directed by Yasuhiro Yasuhiro. Oh yeah, Yasuhiro Imagawa. Yasuhiro Imagawa. Apologize for that, folks. I'm trying to still pronounce the names. It's difficult for me, as you can tell. I'm not a native Japanese speaker. So with Mobile Fighter G Gundam, instead of having Yoshiyuki Tomino direct the series or anybody else so far, we actually have someone completely different directing a Gundam series. That is going to be we have someone completely... Now, so far with the Gundam franchise, we've actually had Yoshiyuki Tomino direct majority of the series. We do have other people directing, like, OVAs and so forth. However, with the NIS... So, yeah. So, with Mobile Fighter G Gundam, unlike other Gundam series, which were, like, either directed by Yoshiyuki Tomino or other people, like, that would direct, like, the OVAs or other series, we actually have a different director for it. Scrap that, sorry. So, unlike the other Gundam franchise series entries, such as, Alright. Now, another big difference with... Now, another big difference when Mobile Fighter G Gundam is not directed by Yoshiyuki Tomino, who's done majority of the Gundam series and movies, or other directors who've done the OVAs and so forth. This Gundam series is actually directed by someone completely different by the name of Yasuhiro Imagawa. Now, he's also known for directing Giant Robo and Giant Robo Armageddon, so he's not unfamiliar with the super robot scene. If you couldn't already tell by the screenshot here, this is actually this is actually a wallpaper. G Gundam is very different, very controversial from the original, or not the overall Gundam franchise, because it's not set in a militarized, realistic setting. In fact, it is absolutely different. G Gundam is classified more so like a shonen anime. In fact, it is a super robot shonen anime. Very, very different. I personally like to akin this to like Street Fighter or something like that. This series has a lot of energy. Before I really dive into that, I want to dive into some of like the fun things too. So again, like I mentioned, G Gundam is the first of the AU series, or alternate universe series. This one again set in future century. We do get 2 more series in the 90s block time frame that produces more alternate universes. That being said, the successors to G Gundam would be The successors to G Gundam in the alternate universe timelines would then be New Mobile Report Gundam Wing and After War Gundam X. Gundam Wing taking place in Aesir After Colony, and Gundam X taking place in After War. So this is not the only one that's going to be set in a different timeline. We're going to have plenty of other ones since we're no longer talking about UC Century at this point. So we're going to get a lot of alternate universes, but G Gundam is where it starts it all. And man, does it break a lot of things with the Gundam franchise, but still maintaining a lot of things as well. Like I mentioned already, the biggest departure with the series is that it's a super robot and a shonen anime. Nothing like any of the other Gundam series in the franchise thus far. So we got a lot of crazier, almost impossible mecha antics that was not even feasible in any of the previous Gundam series. Although there have been moments in the Gundam series that works, it's kind of like, of course, besides giant robots, you gotta suspend the disbelief that, like, oh, they can probably do that, or someone's gonna survive this. Throw it out with G Gundam. The absolute ridiculousness with the Gundams and the fighting is outrageously great. It's terribly bad as a Gundam fan, but at the same time, it's awesome. That being said, too, the shonenness. So again, this is a fighting anime, so it's not about militarized stories or we're following a group that's trying to survive. We're following fighters and competitors in a tournament to rule the world. So it's just mostly just fighting for the most part, and the masculinity behind it, and the funness overall, the over the topness, the exerting energy and craziness of the fights. Because of the differences here, this is a very, again, it's controversial. It's a polarized series. When it was first released back in 1994, Japan was mediocre with the release itself. Here in the United States, it actually did really, really good when it was released back in 2001 on Toonami, on the Toonami block for Cartoon Network. I remember when I first watched the series, this was a awesome series to watch. It was just exciting, fun, and just completely outrageous. Granted, the only other experiences I had with Gundam was, of course, Gundam Wing. I believe they had aired 8th MS Team at that time. I don't recall they had aired Gundam, the original Gundam, before or after G Gundam. But I remember this being part of the lineup of Gundam series I had watched, and it was just a lot of fun. It still is to this day. However, with those differences, sometimes a lot of other fans who are expecting something from from G Gundam to be a lot more of a serious toned anime, just like the previous Gundam series, were completely let down. Some of them were absolutely devastated and disregard or disown this from the entire franchise. I can totally get that. I think that's a little bit more exaggerated than the series itself, but hey, everyone's got their opinion on it. Now, one thing I just want to point out here, and if you guys haven't caught on to this weirdness, I've just noticed this with, like, when I was watching Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway several weeks back, actually, because I just thought it was kind of funny that a lot of the things I've been watching so far have been correlating. Like, by the time I had finished up with mid-UC Century time frame, I got to the point where, or I got to the release time of Gundam Hathaway on Netflix. I thought that was kind of crazy. Keep in mind that this entire week, I finally got to the point where we got to G Gundam, and guess what took place this week? Or actually, started off, I believe, last week too. The 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Well, not really Tokyo Olympics, but the 2020 Olympics, which took place in Tokyo. I thought that was just a little bit funny that, you know, I'm watching G Gundam where we're following a Neo-Japan fighter, and the Olympics is taking place in, of all places, Tokyo, Japan. I'm not setting this up, guys. I am not intentionally doing this. I'm literally watching these Gundam series every single week, and I somehow fall on this. The 2022 Tokyo, the Olympics were not in my mindset whatsoever, so I'm kind of curious what other crazy quinky dinks are going to happen along the way. I even joked because probably after Gundam X, if I get enough requests, I will watch Gundam Seed and Gundam Seed Destiny. And I laughed that by the time I get around to that, what if they finally finish releasing Gundam Seed Eclipse? And I'm going to have to add that to the roster of things I'm going to be watching instead of later. 3 series of Gundam Seed. Anyway, let's get back to G Gundam, and let's be happy about G Gundam instead. Now, if you couldn't already tell with me being kind of silly and cheesy at the very beginning, that's actually kind of the energy in the G Gundam series. It's very cheesy, there's machismo levels in there. Not saying it's disregarding some of our female cast members. This is a low female cast setting, though, but they are not absolutely disregarded. We actually get we get a female fighter, and Rain is actually quite capable herself too. Surprisingly enough, even able to compete with some of the other fighters. With all of that, though, it is very predictable series. Like I mentioned to you with the story already, the story hasn't really changed too much from there. And if you're familiar with shonen animes, or at least fighting animes too, of course, and I said it in the story itself too, there's a tournament to behold. So, you're going to get your main storyline stuff. Everything's going to set up for the build up towards the tournament. Funny enough, though, this type of storytelling is not unfamiliar and is not, how do I put this? The story that's being used at build up to the tournament and the tournament itself, we see this again with Gundam Build Fighters. I will talk about that much later on when we get to that series, but this kind of formulaic thing for shonen anime is very familiar. That build up, getting them familiarized with our characters and their fighting styles, and then we get to the big tournament itself. So no real big spoilers about what G Gundam leads up to. There is a little bit more afterwards too, so that's it on itself. But overall, we're just getting build up and set up for the fight. So much of the storyline or the episodes themselves tend to be like fighter of the week, even within the tournament setting itself too. Very fighter of the week. We are introduced to a new Gundam, a new pilot every single episode for the most part. Other than that, we'll get developmental building episodes, not only with Domon and Rain here, but with our other supporting cast members, Saisaishi, George, Argo, and of course, Chibity, Neo America. He's a fun. Speaking of our characters, if you couldn't already tell with some of these aspects, so we already talked about Neo Japan here for Domon and Rain. We have Saisaishi for Neo China, very Dragon-esque, very Shaolin-esque, right? We have Neo France for George. You kind of get that Napoleon look, the France-esque colors. With Argo, he is hailing from Neo-Russia. I don't get too much of a Russian aspect, but it kind of looks like one of the larger coats that they have. And of course, we have Neo-America's Chibity Crockett, who's using the Gundam Maxter. You can't tell, but these are giant boxing gloves that pop off the shoulders, so he kind of has a football-esque look, and then later on can look like a boxer. So, that description right there, I'll go in a little bit more with the Gundam, like my favorite suit section, but a lot of the characters, a lot of the a lot of the Gundams are featured to be very exaggerated, very stereotypical aspects of the nations in this entire series. So, of course, how we look or we perceive Japan, America, Russia, France, Nepal, Mexico, Germany, those sort of things, a lot of them are exaggerated. Some people said it was kind of offensive. Personally, I thought this was kind of cool, even though it was like a little bit tongue-in-cheek with playing off to like the aspects of the characters and their nations. I thought it was kind of funny and really, really enjoyable, and makes it a very unique and diverse cast. Not one of these characters is truly the same for the most part, with one aspect that is the same for all of them: their desire to be the greatest fighter in the entire Gundam tournament. That's it. Alongside with this unique cast and Gundams and the very simplistic and bland storyline, the music in this series is phenomenal. It is music that either can get you really, really amped and pumped up for the fights. We can even get really emotional, heartstring tugging kind of music too. I love a lot of the music between Domon and Master Asia. For an example, I love their music together. Outside of that one, a lot of the fight music, even like the kind of like the interlude stuff or the not end credits, but the the end credits teaser towards the next episode. Love all that music. The music really does set a lot of the tone and feeling and atmosphere that for this series really captivates you and really gets you kind of like motivated, really pumped up when watching it. Now, animation is a little bit iffy here. So, like, right here, of course, I'm showing you a wallpaper. It's a lot more cleaned up. But when we look at the series animation kind of seems a little bit washed out, especially for a 94. It seems a little bit more brighter colored, even in the darker moments, compared to, like, Victory Gundam, which came out before this series, obviously, in the same year. So the animation is kind of the same, but not by a whole lot. I mean, here's an example of something that's a little bit darker. I mean, you got a lot of these, like, not washed out too much, but a lot of lighter colors, a more saturation behind some of them. Not terribly that bad. It seems a little bit off at times when looking at the animation, but when it comes to the fighting, it really actually adds more to the fighting. Because the fighting becomes like Dragon Ball Z-esque flurry of fists, kicks, and beam sabers, and other kinds of like fun little novelty actions, or I would say like gimmicky actions. But it really plays with the animation very well. So I think even in the still moments where like characters are talking or not, and, like they're like not bad, but just overall it doesn't look as sharp or contrasty like other Gundam series, and a little bit more washed out in coloring. It still works out very well. I love the animation. Well, not love it. I really enjoyed the animation in this series. It works out so well. Otherwise, if it was just like a normal Gundam series, I think I would have been a little bit more disappointed with the animation as for a 90s anime. And give me a moment here. I'm just trying to catch up to where I had left off. Now, I talked about the story already in this aspect alongside with the characters. I do want to say that G Gundam, as much as it is a shonen anime, it has a lot of heart and emotion behind that. And don't let all the fighting and this machismo aspect really take you away from the idea that it can be a human series too. There are a lot of human moments that kind of relate back to the core elements of the Gundam franchise. There are actually some heartstring pulling moments that even got me feeling it for the most part. Not spoiling anything for the most part, but a specific character death in this series actually got me to cry a little bit. I would say, again, it's the culmination of what we know about the characters, the final build-up towards this character's story in their arc, and then the music. Everything played out and culminated to this one pinnacle moment, and of course, the penultimate fight between these two characters and the resulting death of one of them was just what I like to consider like a beautiful death. And I wish I can get more time into it, but a beautiful death being like, it's sad, it's tragic, but it sets up such a very poignant story for this character. There's nowhere else where it could go, and the ending for this character was just simply beautiful. I loved it so much. It got me moved and got me teary. I'm thinking about it and it's like it gets me a little bit moved. With the death too, for being a shonen anime, I would think that would be a little bit more deaths or characters that die. But in fact, because of the rules that are in place with the Gundam tournament itself, actually there's not that many fighters that actually die. There are characters that do die in the series, some fighters that do die in this series, but in all honesty, this is a very low death count in this series. Surprisingly enough, I would say it almost rivals Turn A Gundam. Now, when I was talking earlier too about the core elements of the Gundam franchise, it really pertains towards like how certain aspects of the Gundam franchise, how war is terrible, and instead of specifically saying war, they were saying throughout the entire series that the Gundam fights is to replace the war, but these fights themselves have ravaged the Earth, has destroyed much of the nations themselves, and a lot of the nations have now fled towards space, somehow taking a lot of the portions of their continents up into space and leaving a lot of the other denizens on Earth to suffer. So again, we got a lot of that war is hell kind of a thing. Whoever wins, the innocent lose. We even get some environmental tones that we see previously as well, like in Victory Gundam, and later on we would see that in like Turn A or other future Gundam series as well. So it does touch on some of these core elements, surprisingly enough, despite being absolutely opposite to a lot of things that is part of the Gundam franchise. And then besides, and one last thing I just want to talk about G Gundam 2. The series has been just a phenomenal, fun watch. It's, again, different than majority of the other Gundam series. It's a shonen anime. I don't know how else to really put it for you guys. A very enjoyable, really, really fun shonen anime that really captures a lot of the heart. Let me scrap all that. I apologize. Woo. I apologize. I've not eaten anything yet, and it finally crept up on me, and I'm burning alive. Don't worry, folks. Don't worry, folks. I'm still alive. But what I really want to say about G Gundam is that it has been a absolutely fun series. I remember hearing about it when I was originally coming into it, like from like online forums and the such. There was a lot of dissidence with this series, very polarized. I get people who mostly were saying like G Gundam sucked, it wasn't that fun, it was different than what I was expecting from Gundam, it's an absolute disgrace, it shouldn't be called a Gundam series. And then you get the other side that I've seen too, not always heard but seen, which was like, oh man, G Gundam's so fun, it's an enjoyable series, it's relaxing for the most part compared to actual other Gundam series where it's very intense regarding the story and its tones that it tries to hammer down through. G Gundam takes the tones, takes all the core elements like I talked about, they put it out there, but they don't really hammer too much home with it. And it makes the fights a lot more enjoyable, but kind of like how Domon talks, or how Master Asia puts it, like, they talk with their fists, the fighting really exaggerates or really puts out there these core elements. So I don't see how some people say it was a disgrace with the Gundam franchise or this Gundam franchise as a whole. It still pays a lot of respects to it and utilizes quite a bit of the core elements. Not all of them, I would say, but quite a bit of them. Along with that, it's just an overall real fun series. Like, I keep saying fun, 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 but I don't know how else to describe a fighting anime. You watch a fight and you're really just watching this, like watching a fight for the fight itself. G Gundam doesn't play around or pretend to be something else. It is what it is. It knows it's super cheesy. It knows it's super silly, so it runs with it absolutely. It's going to make all these exaggerated characters. It's going to make an exaggeration or cliche out of the entire story itself with their characters. And the fights are so over the top at times, it gets ridiculous. But it knows it's a super robot series. It doesn't try to pretend that it's a real robot or anything like that. And it just goes with it. It just runs with it. A suit powered by love, by emotion or anything like that? Please enlighten me how that works, because that kind of shows up like in the other Gundam series with new type powers. So the whole argument with some fans saying like, oh, it's so super robot that it ruins the other Gundam series. I don't think so. I think it goes alongside well with it. Although yes, it is super robot-y. I can't imagine Gundams fighting without really destroying each other. But this series just goes like, we'll make the damage real when it matters. Other than that, we're just gonna have fun with it. This is Rock'em Sock'em Robots. We're gonna just see things fight and have fun until they break. We don't want to see them break. But yes, G Gundam has a lot of heart behind it. Has a lot of fun, and interesting fights, and definitely has a cast of boot to kick it off and have a lot of fun with all of this. So I think a lot of the naysayers that get upset about G Gundam really just get upset that it's not like any other Gundam series. Personally, as a UC elitist myself, I actually value G Gundam a lot. It breaks away from what we are familiarized with Gundam, and allows us just to have fun with the Gundam mythos, the core ideologies or core elements of the Gundam franchise, and allows us to rebuild with something anew. Just like how Bandai Sunrise intended G Gundam to be, it is something to revitalize the entire franchise, completely different than what it is. I think it was a warm welcoming, in my opinion. I'm sad that not everyone's in the same manner, but hey, not everyone's gonna like everything, so that's absolutely fine. That said, let's go ahead and jump into our next segment here. I do want to talk about, my favorite Gundam. Or so, let's go ahead and jump. Blah, blah, blah. Let me close off some of this stuff here. I got too much stuff opened up. So, with that said, we're going to go ahead and jump into our next segment here, which is the favorite suits or not favorite suits of the Gundam series. With G Gundam, just like every other Gundam series, if you're not familiar with this, every Gundam series brings in a brand new slew of suits, redesigns, old designs, battleships, those sort of things. G Gundam is absolutely no different to this, with one exception to the fact of the matter. G Gundam probably brings in the most Gundams, new designs to the entire Gundam franchise. I don't think there's any Gundam series to this day that beats out G Gundam. Here is just a list of Gundam. As you can see, every single suit introduced in this series is not a mobile suit. They are Gundams. In fact, there are more Gundams. I think when I had counted this out, I might have miscounted because there's some duplicates that show up here. Not throughout here, but like Master Gundam shows up into the list here. If I'm not mistaken here, about 40 new Gundams are introduced in this series. That's a record breaker. I don't know any other Gundam franchise or Gundam series that does this. That being said, there is a ton and a ton and a ton of new Gundams to look at. All of them are based off of the nations that they represent, the Neo portion of the nation. So there are some really, really funny ones that I want to show off here real quick before I jump into the suits I actually really like. There's a lot of them. I can almost do a video on its own about these suits. I'm not going to. I'm just going to keep it super short. But the first Gundam I want to show you guys that is very unique, these are kind of like honorable mentions as being funny, is Neo Netherlands Gundam, the Nether Gundam. They also call it the Windmill Gundam, if I remember correctly. It is really, really silly. Really silly. There's a portion in the series where you guys actually see these suits. There's multiple of these Gundams. They transform from the windmills into this. I was like, wow. You see what I'm talking about when they exaggerate or they are stereotyping from a nation? Let me show you another one. We have Neo Spain's Matador Gundam. You can't get away with these designs in any other Gundam series. I feel like some of these designs in the entire this entire Gundam series is either to go all out or just straight out, spite Bandai Sunrise because they're like, we want to make more toys, we want to make more models, and pressuring in this manner. So I'm like, okay, we'll make you one. And that's why I feel like Matador Gundam just looked absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what's more ridiculous, Matador Gundam or Nether Gundam. Both of them are ridiculous. If you ask me, I'm going to say Matador Gundam. Matador Gundam is probably the most ridiculous of the two. There are more ridiculous Gundams. I actually wish I could make a list of most ridiculous Gundams of G Gundam, but Matador Gundam is probably the most ridiculous. It's just by far the weirdest design. It's just mostly the head and the front legs and the horn of a bull with a Gundam head slapped on with arms too, and cut out the body and slap the tail on the butt. There you go. The butt end of the head. Nether Gundam makes a little bit more sense because it looks like a windmill still and all that jazz, but Matador Gundam looks just too ridiculous for me. As much as Nether Gundam is ridiculous, at least it transforms into a Matador mode. I would expect this to transform into a bull, but we didn't get that. So, anywho, let me close these off. Let's see. Yeah. By the way, I did want to talk about the differences in names because some of the names that you can see right here pop up, they're actually different. So I got the list of names here. I'm not going to name all of them here. Like I just mentioned, Nether Gundam and Matador Gundam. Nether Gundam's actual name in Japanese is Hurricane Gundam, and Matador Gundam is Toro Gundam. These are all for the US names. Now, when this came over to the United States, this series did get some changes to it because of how stereotypical a lot of these things were, and they didn't want to peeve off parents or the censors, so they did change the names. So, the US dubbing is very different regarding. I forgot to even talk about this, and I'll talk about right now here. With the dubbing, a lot of the dubbing has a lot of this energy behind it too. Sometimes it's okay and flounders a bit, but where it really, really counts is that strength and bravado with the characters in their fighting. That being said, with the English dubbing, though, we have the redubbing of the suits. More primarily was the titular G Gundam, or what is known as in Japan as God Gundam. That's what G Gundam actually is. How kind of like where there's V Gundam or Z Gundam, right? Well, we know it's Zeta Gundam and Victory Gundam. G Gundam is referring to God Gundam. Unfortunately, a lot of like myself, when I had originally watched this series on Toonami, I had no idea why they call it G Gundam, and it wasn't until I did a little researching it after the fact of the matter, I had to watch the series and looking online, I found out, oh wow, Burning Gundam is actually God Gundam. And it's not erupting burning finger, it's erupting God finger. And I was like, oh wow, that really changes a lot of things. Same thing with Dark Gundam or the Dark Army. We have the Devil Gundam and the Devil or Death Army. So I thought it was kind of strange and weird that they changed it like that, but it makes sense because God and Devil don't want to upset the Christian parents. Death Army, oh no, hearing about death, don't want the kiddos to hear about that. Some of the other ones kind of threw me off. I mean, Tequila Gundam makes sense, so they changed it to Desert Gundam. Tequila Gundam is Spike Gundam. But I mean, like, tequila is an alcohol. I can get that. But some of them are kind of weird. Lumber Gundam, they changed it to Grizzly Gundam? Why? Or Pharaoh Gundam, they changed it to Mummy Gundam. What's up with that? Some of these name changes I just did not understand. I totally get Gundam Heaven's Sword to Raven Gundam. I get that. Trying to take away all the, like the Christian references and whatnot, just so not to upset parents that are of different religions. I get it. But some of the other Gundam names, Hurricane Gundam and Nether Gundam, what? Well, I don't get that. Pharaoh Gundam, Mummy Gundam, I don't get that. So I thought it was just a little bit weird with some of these names and dubbing. So that was the one thing that kind of threw me off when I was younger, but still didn't stop me from enjoying the series. But on with the suits. The first one I want to start off with is the Devil Gundam or Dark Gundam itself. I actually like its mobile armor, its mobile fighter form, basically. That's what it's calling it. The mobile fighter form, or the Gundam version of it itself, I really do enjoy it. The mobile armor version is not that bad, and we see that quite a bit. I'm not going to show anything else beyond that one, but it's not a bad design. I actually really like it a lot. You can't tell, but it has kind of like a spinal thing, so it's kind of like separates. Actually, it shows it more like here, so kind of like a snake almost. I kind of like this whole entire like overall design. It looks a little weird, but when it transforms and it's got all these like Gundam head kind of looks, it just looks cheesy cool. Master Gundam, I actually really like Master's design. It's got a lot of these like kind of like weird little like shoulder pad portions to it. The legs have these like little spines, and the wing binders creates this little cloak around Master. I think it's also kind of funny because when he flies away at times, he'll fly away like that, so he looks like a rocket. Kind of ridiculous. The head, while looking like a jester, is very menacing and kind of gives it like a devil's horns almost. So like overall, I really like the suit design. The claws make it very menacing too, with his fingers. The next Gundam I liked a lot in this series this was a toss up because I like this one just as my number one suit, but the Gundam Spiegel, or the Shadow Gundam, which is known in the U.S. This was a hard call because I really like I'm going to call it Shadow Gundam because that's how I'm familiar with it. I really do like the Shadow Gundam because it reminds me of like Guyver or Kikaider almost. I like the chest design, the helmet itself too. And the backpack, let me see if we can't see the backpack, but the backpack has like cool, like, it's like a weird little shaped, basically. like a L shape, L hook. So this is a core fighter. These come down, so it kind of forms like a little L. I kind of make it like a little bit weird because this thing would pop in so I can get inside of the suit. But its fighting techniques with Schwartz is really, really cool. I like the blades on it overall. Just an overall neat design. I liked it a lot. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I don't understand the offensiveness of Spiegel. I don't. I'm not familiar with German terminology, let alone much of the German culture, so I'm ignorant here, but I don't know why they had to change it from Spiegel to Shadow, but here we are, and here's how I'm calling it. Yes, impressions are very, very important, folks, because my impression is not calling it Gundam Spiegel, it's Shadow Gundam. I don't call Devil Gundam, I call it Dark Gundam. And the next Gundam, I always call it as Burning Gundam, which is also originally known as God Gundam. This is a lovely suit. I really, really like the Burning Gundam design, the overall functions of the suit. It is really, really cool, and dare I say groundbreaking with super robotness, especially for a Gundam series. This suit just goes over the top with a lot of its moments. It is the upgrade to the Shining Gundam. A far superior suit than the Shining Gundam. It has a lot of the functions and features from what Shining Gundam had, but upgraded furthermore. So yeah, really love it. I don't think I can show much. Let me see if I can show the Godfinger. Yeah, like, so it's the Godfinger. That's I kind of did like a Vulcan signature almost, but the Godfinger kind of like that. And when he does his erupting Godfinger, I'm gonna try and correct myself for you folks who watched this originally how it is. Yeah, but me and many other US viewers who watch this on Toonami refer to it as the erupting burning finger, and that's how we remember it. But yeah, these are all my favorite suits of G Gundam. A lot of them are fun designs. I would say if you ever get a chance, stop by the MHQ. Take a look at a lot of the designs if you have never watched the series or don't intend to, because there's a lot of crazy, unique suit designs. Maybe offensive at times too, but honestly, take it with tongue-in-cheek laugh, and just know that the series is trying to have like a nice little funness with it. I don't think it's that bad. People who find this offensive, I don't know what else to say to you and why you how you're sensitive to that one, but honestly, this is a fun series. I do want to point out a honorable mention. I do apologize for not mentioning this earlier on or pulling her up, but Allenby's Noble Gundam from Sweden. If I'm not mistaken, she should be Sweden, I believe. Yes, Neo-Sweden. I had to make sure. I'm like, I keep mixing up between Sweden, Finland, Netherlands. I apologize to you folks over there. But Neo-Sweden's Noble Gundam for Allenby. Do apologize for that. That is an alarm. Give me 1 second here. I'll be right back. Folks, I do apologize for this. Set timer 10 minutes. Cool. Again, I am doing my doing something for my wife here, so I have to make sure I am on top of that one. So I do have to break away from the stream. I do apologize. Let me go and reset that portion. And so I do apologize. I forgot to not bring up this Gundam here. I'm going to put her right behind Spiegel Gundam. Because, I'm sorry, Shadow Gundam and Burning Gundam are top tier designs. I could not decide which one was the better one, right? But Neo-Sweden's Noble Gundam for Allenby Beardsley is not a top contender, because that's like, I love the suit design because it reminds me of Sailor Moon, obviously. I love Sailor Moon too. But it's hard. I can't say this is the number one, but it's a really awesome suit design. You got the high heels, you got the little bow, you got the sailor-esque outfit looking here. Her weapon is a kind of like a beam. Let's see if we have it here. Oh, it doesn't have it. It's like a beam tassel almost. Not a tassel. It's a beam ribbon. I apologize. I don't care for the berserker mode on this suit. Good thing they don't. I mean, not a good thing. I wish I could show it though, but I don't really care much for the berserker mode. But this is such a really cool design. Really, really fits Allenby's character too. Definitely number 3 in my list of suits I like for this series. I think I'd be amiss not to mention the Noble Gundam. All right, and that's pretty much all I wanted to say regarding the suits in the series. Again, like I mentioned to you already, a lot of them are very exaggerated looks to the nations that they represent and exaggerations of the character themselves too. Let me go ahead and jump into my next segment here, which is I'm new to the Gundam franchise. Should I start off with G Gundam first? This is going to be a weird one, folks. Because normally in this case, I would say no. But with G Gundam, I'm going to say yes. Absolutely yes. Start with this as your first Gundam series. Just like how G Gundam is the polar opposite of all the other Gundam series that we have seen thus far in the Gundam franchise, it flips the table on the Gundam franchise and is absolutely an enjoyable watch. Oh no, I apologize. I didn't want to put it that way. So yeah, with all of that said, let me go ahead and jump into our next segment here, which is I'm new to the Gundam franchise. Should I start off with G Gundam first? This one is going to be an interesting one because normally I would say no, but in the case for G Gundam here, not out of bias or anything like that, I'm going to say yes. Start off with G Gundam first. Just like how G Gundam is the opposite of what everything is so far in the Gundam franchise, how it is not a real robot militarized drama, it is a super robot shown in anime. It is an incredibly fun watch. It's absolutely different from Gundam. It breaks all expectations while still maintaining some of the core elements, so I don't see why not. I get it though, like how I normally would say, like, hey, I wouldn't want you to watch a Gundam series that doesn't formulate or is very different from everything, that doesn't set the right expectations, right? But with G Gundam, I don't think it, beyond what the series is and is gonna break expectations of, hey, this is what I expect to see in another Gundam series. No, it's not. One thing that's really, really great about G Gundam, I feel, is the introduction factor. It really can pull in a lot of audiences. It being a very fun anime, not lighthearted necessarily, but it's light enough and easy accessible for anybody to really jump into this series and enjoy it. And can bring in a lot of people to be familiarized with Gundams overall, and then eventually move on to other portions of the franchise. Whether or not they're going to be enjoying some of the other ones, I'm not too sure, but you can still move down that list. G Gundam is a fantastic series, really, really fun. I don't see why I could not recommend this one, or as an introduction to the Gundam franchise. Just like how, again, this series breaks away from the mold, or I want to say, let me rephrase that, folks. I apologize. I keep rambling. This is what happens. I ramble. I want to get to the finer points here for you guys. That said, so that's pretty much my thoughts on the suits overall. But let me go and jump into my next segment here, which is I'm new to the Gundam franchise. Should I watch G Gundam first? Just like how G Gundam is the absolute opposite of everything here, and my normal saying here would be, no, don't watch G Gundam first. I'm actually going to say yes. G Gundam, again. Oy! Chipaila. I ruin everything again. Okay, so, and that's pretty much all my favorite suits from G Gundam here, but let me go ahead and jump into my next segment, which is I'm new to the Gundam franchise. Should I watch G Gundam first? Now, I think some of you who've already watched some of my reviews know that I'm probably going to say no, but this is the one time I'm going to break my rule here. I'm going to say yes. Start off with G Gundam first if you want to get into the Gundam franchise. I say yes because just like G Gundam is the complete opposite of what we already know what's in the Gundam franchise and other Gundam series, it's a great entry point, to be honest. This is a super exaggerated series that is nowhere near connected towards anything else of the Gundam franchise, like series wise, right? Other than some of the core elements. It's a really, really fun series that, again, goes against the grain, and just like that, I think really, really fits in with bringing in more people to watch the Gundam franchise overall. It will set. I will tell you right now, it will set the wrong expectation in the expectation that there's gonna be a lot of action in Gundam series. But in fact, if you really watch a lot of the Gundam episodes, there is a lot of action for the most part in every single episode. There are some series that are slower and they don't have a whole lot of action, like Turn A Gundam for the most part, or some other series like the original Gundam, or even at times Zeta Gundam, where it's a slow start for both of those. G Gundam, even though it sets up the expectation that it's going to be a lot of fight. I ramble. I can't help but ramble. I'm going to keep it shorter. I promise you folks. I'm sorry. If you're watching the live stream video, I apologize. I'm going to keep this shorter for you folks. Hey, I put in live stream portions so you guys who miss out on the live stream, I want to catch what... I'm not going to go by nicknames. Catch what Brisson said regarding... what he felt about the series. Yeah. And then all these flub-ups, you actually get still a lot of what I want to say about the series, but just not the full amount. Of course, I'm trying to polish it up for putting it on YouTube. But yeah, you guys get the uncensored, not uncensored, but the unfiltered versions. Last go. All right, and so that's what I think about my favorite suits of the So that's my thoughts on my favorite suits on. Oh, dang it! I said the last go, and I flub up twice. But yeah, those are my favorite suits for G Gundam. But let me go ahead and jump into my last segment here, which is I'm new to the Gundam franchise. Should I start off with G Gundam first? Now, normally I would say no, don't start off with G Gundam first, but I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to break my rule one time here, and I'm going to say yes. Start off with G Gundam first. Just like how G Gundam is, I'm saying yes for this very reason. G Gundam is absolutely opposite to everything that's in the Gundam franchise itself. It's not a militarized drama featuring real robots. It's a shonen anime with super robots fighting. It's a lot of fun for the most part, and I think it's a great entry point. It still has core elements of the Gundam franchise, so it's not completely opposing to what the Gundam franchise is. So I think it would be a fantastic jumping point to the Gundam franchise. I know it's going to set up the wrong expectations, thinking that there's going to be a lot of action, but if you really, really think about it, and if you look into the episodes themselves, even though G Gundam features a lot more fighting, a lot more action throughout the entire episode, most Gundam series actually has a nice little equivalence between action and the story. So I don't see it too much as a deviation or anything like that. I just think that it's going to be different from, jumping into what is going to be, shonen fighting with giant robots to giant robots in a militarized setting. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, I definitely recommend watching G Gundam as your first Gundam series. That way you can get a lot more of a fun introduction into the Gundam franchise. Not saying the other ones are not fun either, but just get a outrageously fun time, and then you can move along to something else. Dang it. Dang it. I do apologize. I think the wife told me it was going to take 45 minutes. I gave it like an extra 10 more minutes. I mean, 55 minutes. Set timer for 15 minutes. Okay. I don't remember where I last left off. I apologize. I'm probably going to do this one more time, but for future note here, this is probably... I'm going to back up towards the other portions here. All right. Actually, I don't know. But yeah, I do recommend this series as a first watch here. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun watching it. And if you try to compare it to other Gundam series, it's actually not terribly that different when you think about it in action terms, right? Even though we see a lot of shonen fighting with giant robots. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, I definitely recommend G Gundam for a first time viewer in the Gundam franchise. A lot of people would say like, well, Brisson, you're wrong about that because it's gonna feature like all this fighting and stuff like that. It's gonna be different than what you watch in the Gundam series of the Gundam franchise. Not really. When you really look at it, yes, majority of the episode time frames of G Gundam will feature a lot of the fighting and of course the story. But when you jump into other Gundam series, for the most part, it does kind of divvy it up pretty well between like a 50-50 between the action and the storyline. So I don't really see it too much as an issue as jumping into from G Gundam to another Gundam series. The only big difference would be instead of watching giant robots fight in a shonen-esque manner, you're just going to see giant robots fight in a realistic, militarized manner. So there you have it. Now, as for an overall, let me reread all of this stuff right here. So I'm gonna try and do this all without going too much. So, G Gundam breaks the mold. Super. I did this actually 2 nights ago, by the way, folks. So I didn't do it last night, so it's not in my head necessarily. Between work and everything else, and today is gonna be a fun day to. It's not necessarily that. Don't want the wrong impression. Not that I don't. I love my in-laws. Love my in-laws. They are fantastic. It's just that I woke up super early, and I'm gonna be doing a lot of driving and stuff like that. That's what I'm not excited about, and I'm kind of afraid when driving back home if I'm gonna be still able to be awake. That's what I'm not excited about. I'm also very very tired. So, well, that's why I pointed out. So yeah, I'm just trying to have the energy. That's why I'm doing this review. Actually, this is relatively fast. I want to keep it fast, so let's keep going. It's unique and exaggerated characters and super. All right. And as for an overall, G Gundam breaks the Gundam franchise mold as a incredibly super fun super robot shonen anime. Alright. G Gundam breaks the Gundam franchise mold. Alright. So let me just read it off as I see it right here, right? So here's a cold read for you folks. So G Gundam breaks the Gundam mold as an incredibly fun super robot shonen anime. Its unique and exaggerated characters and super robot. Oh, excuse me. I don't have to be hungry to get like ingestion, but like the gas here. Its unique and exaggerated characters and super robot Gundams create a visually enjoyable melting pot of crazy, over-the-top fighting action while maintaining some of the core elements of the Gundam franchise. All right, let's do this. Let's do this. I can do this. I think I did the wrong one too. All right. Anyways. Alrighty then. And as for the overall, G Gundam breaks the Gundam franchise mold as an incredibly fun super robot shonen anime. Its exaggerated and unique characters and super robot Gundams create a visually enjoyable melting pot of over-the-top crazy fighting action while still maintaining some of the core elements of the Gundam franchise. And now it's time for the... sorry. I say last go. Let's just try and give it one more go. And as for the overall, G Gundam breaks the mold for... Sorry. Alright, and as for the overall, G Gundam breaks the mold for the entire Gundam franchise as a incredibly... I should have done my like lion face, lemon face, and then some of my theater stuff. All right. And as for the overall, G Gundam breaks the Gundam franchise mold when it comes. Alright, and as for the overall, G Gundam breaks the Gundam franchise mold as an incredibly fun super robot shonen anime. Its unique and exaggerated characters and super robot Gundams create a visually I almost had it there too. Alright, and as for the overall, G Gundam breaks the Gundam franchise mold as an incredibly fun super robot shonen anime. Its unique and exaggerated characters and crazy super robot Gundams. Dang it. Alright, and as for the overall, G Gundam breaks the Gundam franchise mold as a incredibly fun super robot shonen anime. Its unique and exaggerated characters and super robot Gundams create a visually enjoyable melting pot of crazy, over-the-top action while still maintaining a lot of the core elements of the Gundam franchise. And now, it's time to end this review. This score of mine is burning red. Its loud roar tells me it's gonna be great. Mobile Fighter G Gundam gets an erupting, burning 4 out of 5. Now, review end! I don't think some of you expected that. Alright, I thought I had to do the cheesiness here. But yeah, outside of that one, let me try to do that now. One more time. All right. And now it's time to end this. And now, I think I wanted to. I couldn't remember what I was putting in my notes here. I think I need to do this with the energy, right? And now it's time to end this review. This score of mine is glowing red. Its loud roar tells me it's gonna be great. Mobile Fighter G Gundam gets an erupting, burning 4 out of 5. That was great, though. Oh my god. I apologize. That's hard to do. As you can tell, I'm not a yeller. I don't yell. And I'm just projecting, by the way, but takes a bit out of my voice. Let me try one more time, because I don't want to cough up. I want to continue on. We're going to close it off here, by the way, folks. So I'm going to let you know right now, as soon as I end that portion, I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream. I'm going a little bit over my time here, but that's okay. I want to really get things going. Actually, let me double check to make sure that this stupid thing is not going to interrupt me while I'm doing the closure. I got 6 minutes left. 6 minutes. Let's get this going. Alright, it's time to end this review. This score of mine is glowing red. It's loud. Oh, dang it. I screwed up there. I keep saying glowing because so by the way, for those of you who don't know, the Japanese one says that it's glowing red. Even in the English, they translate, at times they say glowing red. So it goes between burning and glowing, and it fluxes between the two. Especially when he goes into, going into the Burning Gundam. In Shining Gundam, he's like, this hand of mine is glowing red. Burning red. Alright, it's time to end this review. This score of mine is glowing red. Ah, damn it, I did it again. Alright, it's time to end this review. This score of mine is burning red. Its loud roar tells me it's gonna be great. Mobile Fighter G Gundam gets an erupting, burning 4 out of 5. Oh man, I told you I wasn't promising I wasn't gonna do anything else cheesy for this review, but that's all I got for you guys. Overall, again, G Gundam is a great series. Highly recommend this series to you. Not just as a Gundam fan, but just as a fan and like just an enjoyer of watching anime. It's a really fun anime to watch. I highly recommend checking out G Gundam, especially as a Gundam franchise entry point too. So Do yourself a favor. You're gonna have a lot of fun watching this series, I promise you. Other than that, if you are watching this on Twitch, please make sure to follow me on my Twitch channel. If you are watching this on YouTube, like this video, follow me on... Sorry. Alright, and if you are watching this on Twitch... Yeah, I was like... Now, if you're watching this on Twitch, make sure to follow me on... I can't even close right. I can't even close right, folks. I'm sorry. I am going to close, though. So if you guys want to take off, appreciate it. If not, appreciate you sticking around to the end of the video. Or not video, but, well, I'm not videoing. This is live stream. Video for the YouTube portion, live stream for right now. Ugh. Tired. Do this, person. Got this. Alright. And if you guys are watching this on my Twitch account, oh man, I can't. Alright, and if you guys are watching this on Twitch, make sure to follow my Twitch account here. If you're watching this on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment down below. I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you guys think about G Gundam, what you thought about my thoughts on it. Do you like G Gundam? Do you think it sucks? Do you think it's a disgrace to the Gundam franchise? Do you think it's an awesome entry to the Gundam franchise? I want to hear from you guys. What do you think? And if you want to keep update with me when I'm going to go live and such, make sure to follow me on my Twitter account. On my Twitter account, I announce when I go live, what I'm going to be reviewing next, and of course, when I go, just random things here and there. That said, I do want to thank you guys for watching this episode of Nerdy Reviews, and until the next review, I will see you next time. Take care. Alright, folks. That's it for G Gundam. Oh, I should have brought up my Blu-rays, but that's okay. That's fine. Just to let you guys know, I am going to be watching Gundam Wing next. And Endless Waltz. This week is still busy again, so I am hoping I can actually get all of... Because I just finished G Gundam Thursday, and I started up Wing actually yesterday. I think with that little timing there, I can actually fit in Wing and then watch Endless Waltz on Friday. I'm not sure. If I don't, then I'll figure it out. I'm trying to squeeze in as much time as I can watching these while maintaining semblance of a life. But anyways, folks, I gotta get going. I appreciate you all for sticking around for the live stream portion here. And if you're watching the live stream on YouTube, appreciate you guys for sticking around, watching my flub ups, a lot more of my unfiltered. I'm not uncensored, but unfiltered, unedited flub ups and thoughts on the series itself. And until next week, next Saturday, I will catch you all next time. Take care.